Hi everyone, welcome to a new video of the Modest Geek. Today I want to talk about something that I've been wanting to talk about for quite a long time now, and that is Doctor Who, but more specifically Chibnalls Era as Doctor Who. So it's no surprise to hear that Chibnall's run as the showrunner of the show is a bit controversial when it comes to rated as either positive or negative. I think we can find a more divided opinion about his storytelling and writing. Some fans of the show, also known as Whovians, do not like him. Others do like him, and there are people simply somewhere in between. I guess if I should label myself, which I don't normally like doing, I fall in the spectrum of in between. Why? Well, because for starters, I am not an expert on screenwriting, nor do I have the experience nor expertise he does, and also it's really difficult or challenging doing these type of shows with such a hardcore and passionate fan base as Doctor Who has. So I'll give him that. What's more, he also had the most exciting task or challenge to bring a female doctor into our TVs. That is historically never happened before in the show, and it was quite the news at the time it was announced that Jodie Whittaker would be the 13th Doctor. She's a terrific actress, she's amazing, she has worked with Chibnall before in Broadchurch. So they had a history of working together, so they know their way around each other, which is a positive thing. It's a good thing, at least so we thought. Now, as impressive as it all sounds, if I'm being honest with myself and with you, and a bit impartial as well, I can't help but having a bone to pick with these past 3 seasons. It's not Jodie the main issue I have, actually, even though I was a bit skeptical when she was announced the first time. Her performance as the Doctor grew in each episode, and you could see that she was always giving her best, and that grew on me. Okay, she's great, she's awesome, so she's not the issue that I have with. Nowadays I do like her. I enjoy her as the 13th Doctor, and while it's sad that she will be stepping down from the role this year, it is nice to see that she actually got to play the iconic Time Lord for the same amount of seasons that previous Doctors have, like 12 or 11. They got 3 seasons each, and so did she. It would have been brutal seeing her only last 1 season. It would have, yeah. So the main issue I have, especially after seeing the last New Year's special, is the companions and the general stories we've seen, as well as the guest characters or new villains. I guess it's a little bit of everything that I have an issue with. That it didn't happen with previous seasons. To be more specific, last season alone introduced the theory of a multiverse. Now, where did I hear that before? Right. DC's shows. And also the MCU. And more specifically, the television shows. More specifically, Loki. But actually, all of those, mainly DC, came before Flux. And I remember, actually, there is an episode of the last season that we're talking about that literally talked about hyperdrive. And the only thing I could think of was Star Wars, because everybody knows what hyperdrive and hyperspace is in Star Wars, so yeah, that's literally the first thing that popped into my head when I heard it on Doctor Who. They also had one of the characters dressed up as a talking dog, as a new creature, as a new alien species, and that seems a little all too familiar in my opinion, you know. And I don't know if anyone remember Chewbacca from, you know, also Star Wars. Or at least this would be the Doctor Who version of Chewbacca. I don't want to look. Hey, it's still authentic. I mean, you would need to have like be super creative or have a lot of imagination to come up with something like that. And I probably wouldn't have come up with something better than that. So I'm not judging there. But all these concepts, to me, particularly. Because this comes from a personal perspective, felt all way too played out, too familiar, something we have already seen before quite a few times. And of course, the element of time travel did difference the show from other sci-fi fictions we may or may not have seen before, but still, you know, felt a little washed out in my opinion. Not only that, but now that I think about it, you know, I barely remember what happened in the previous seasons. Maybe it was because of COVID. I don't know. Maybe it was because we had a lot of time in between the second and the third season of the 13th era, but I can only remember a few scenes or lines here and there, but that's just about it. With Russell T Davies and Moffat, I actually knew exactly what happened in each season. I mean, I came back to them, especially with the 12 and Clara era. Even now, at least once a year, I run a marathon of all these seasons, but the ones that that are stuck more in my mind are not the ones from 13th season, or from the 13th Doctor, sorry. And see, this is the point where I wanted to get. This is something that the fans also, I've heard many fans talk about this. Unfortunately for Jodie, who I think did her best as the Doctor, it felt as though she wasn't given a proper or memorable storyline, something for her to shine on. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples actually. Do you remember when 11 made that huge speech in Stonehenge to all of the aliens trying to invade England, or actually are out there to get him? Or when 12 made that speech about war in the Saigon inversion? Well, I cannot think of a speech like that being handled to Jodie. I cannot. I honestly, if you tell me she had a speech like that, hey, I accept that I'm wrong. I'm not actually even trying to say that she wasn't a bad Doctor, and she did have some good liners, but I think that if she would have had a moment, a speech like those, a memorable speech like those two examples that I gave you, she would have absolutely killed it. Not that she didn't have great lines, like I was saying, but because she did, but nothing as memorable, as iconic as those speeches. And it's a really it's a shame, really, having a magnificent actor, an actor of that caliber, and not take advantage of it. So yeah, that's another bone to pick that I have with the show. Now on to the companions. Honestly, for me, it felt a little overcrowded, if I'm honest. It took some time for me to get used to the idea of this TARDIS family, but at last I managed to soak it in, you know, and just to see it for what it is and enjoy it nonetheless. Yeah, they were still alright. And the thing about the companions is that something that happened to me with other companions was that I got so attached to them that I just knew that when the time comes, when those companions would leave, I would miss the hell out of them. I would miss them a lot. Like I would need a mourning period or something. But it wasn't the case with these companions. When Graham and Ryan left, I was really not that too sentimental about it. I didn't feel the need to mourn. And when Yas and Dan also leave, I'm pretty sure I won't be as sad as I used to be with the previous companions. That is personal though. Maybe I've learned to let go faster of companions, or maybe not get attached, or maybe I just didn't connect with the characters as much, or maybe there's something to do with the writing of the characters or the development of the characters that maybe there's a world out there of maybes for the reason of this. But yeah, I just didn't really connect with any of the companions, not even one. I think Dan probably is like funniest, but still. And to wrap it up and talk about another of my disconnection with this Chibnall era, and I'm sorry, I'm really sorry for this. It's the Fastman ship. If you don't know what Fastman is pretty much the fusion between the name of the Doctor and Yasmin as a romantic relationship. And before you get all judgy and stuff, I want to say that I'm not saying that I don't see why people root for them as a romantic pairing. I am not blind, and during the last season I also could read between the lines or the subtext of what they wanted to do with the nature of their relationship. Again, this is more personal to me because being a hardcore fan of the Doctor and Clara, I find it so hard to see how the Doctor could actually feel something for someone else. Even more so after everything that happened with 12 and Clara and how deep their feelings were for each other. It's kind of hard. Even now. Still now. I want to clarify, I'm not an anti-Fastman person. I actually think this is a huge win for the queer community to see an actual sapphic romance being developed on screen rather than being confirmed off screen, I would say. Like in some other stories. Still, with 2 more specials to go, it feels maybe they did it a bit too late. Then again, this show actually doesn't really have much of a history of being openly public with displays of affection, except in the 𝗍𝘲𝗬𝘀 era, that is. But yeah, at times it feels a little bit of fan service, but I don't want to be rude about it. It may not. Maybe they had planned this all along, which makes sense. But anyway, love it or hate it, I mean, we still have 2 more adventures with the 13th Doctor. Jodie said her regeneration scene has already been filmed, and it would probably bring tears to our eyes. So we have to make sure to get our tissues ready, and we'll see if we have any more new updates about the new Doctor. Anyway, see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.